abuse them. It's unbelievable, undescribable. You don't even know how do you measure the impact of the imprisonment. And it's not like the prison in Europe or United States. It's horrible.
What were the conditions like?
When I was there, it was terrible conditions, dirty rice, no other dishes. We were basically living like pancakes, living in like 2 feet place per person for a few years without even have clean water and all these systems in the prison in place from the colonial era, like 5 cups of water to take shower. They treat people like animals, and it was a huge problem.
And this is the same prison that the two journalists spent 500 days in.
Exactly.
Well, I know you've been through a lot. You spent a number of years in prison, you now live outside the country. Are you optimistic at all about Myanmar's future?
Really depends on how all of us take responsibility to take actions against that perpetrator of Pakistan democracy. So including the United States, NGOs, and the people of Burma itself. And right now, we are seeing just today the release of the two writers, Shirley, Secretary Pompeo, and Vice President. Everybody's like praising, but not a single action has been taken by the substantive action has been taken by the United States. And that's huge, Devin. Without the leadership of the United States, I am not very optimistic or hopeful.
Rohingya activist Wei Wei Mu spent 7 years in a Myanmar prison. She's been speaking to us from Michigan. Thank you, Wei Wei.
Thanks.
A few months ago, a documentary about the musician R. Kelly brought attention to African-American girls who'd been victims of sexual abuse. And the conversation that exploded around R. Kelly wasn't limited to America. In the Ethiopian diaspora, that documentary series opened the floodgates for stories about sexual assault of young girls. The World's Alison Herrera reports on how one California woman is demanding that the problem get some attention in the U.S. and in Ethiopia.
When the Instagram page Shades of Injera was started in 2014, the slogan was, "We don't follow the culture, we create the culture." On the page, they discuss sensitive topics like dating outside the Ethiopian community, sex, and non-traditional religion. They also talk about the status of women. For instance, on International Women's Day this year, the page featured the face of the country's first female president, photoshopped onto a Rosie the Riveter figure. It got thousands of likes. But Shades of Injera didn't tackle the issue of sexual assault in a big way until the Lifetime documentary series Surviving R. Kelly came out earlier this year.
So when Surviving R. Kelly came out, everyone was just asking about it. Like, the response was just crazy.
That's one of the Ethiopian American women who started Shades of Injera. I'm calling her S. She asked me not to use her name so that she can continue to speak freely about taboo topics. S says the R. Kelly documentary made her ask who are the men in their own Ethiopian community who prey on younger women. Within days, hundreds of women and some men began sharing their own stories of sexual assault.
And everyone was like, I've actually never shared this before. This is my first time saying it, and how desperate they all were to, like, do something about it or get their story out. They just don't know where and how.
The response was so overwhelming that they created a separate account, Me Too Ethiopia, with the tagline, "Assault is a crime, not a culture." One of the women who posted on the site is Nina, who lives in Addis Ababa. She wrote about being abused by her piano teacher when she was 8 years old.
I wanted to talk about my experiences because I feel like there are a lot of people, and women particularly, and men also, that go through that, and yeah, are afraid to talk about it because of a lot of reasons, especially victim shaming.
Nina says that much of the shame associated with outing a teacher or a relative, which is especially difficult in the community. It can dishonor the family. She says she was a teenager when she finally told her family about what happened.
My family wasn't necessarily, okay, I understand, let's deal with it. It was more, we shouldn't talk about it, or we thought you forget, so let's kind of move on because we can't deal with it.
Nina's story follows a familiar pattern for survivors who wrote in, such as girls being assaulted by older, trusted men.
A lot of sexual assault victims, at least from the stories that we got, has been from people who are their uncle or someone 20, 30, 40 years older than them and happened when they were young.
She adds that the power gap between Ethiopian men and women is much wider than it is in the West, which makes it even harder for victims to get help. She says at the moment, Me Too Ethiopia is merely a social media movement, but they are trying to work with groups on the ground to help survivors get the resources they need. And while S says she's pleased with the current Prime Minister's efforts to name women to prominent positions of Ethiopia's government, it's still largely symbolic. She says change needs to happen on every level of society, and addressing sexual assault is a critical part of that. For The World, I'm Allison Herrera.
And you're listening to The World.
The World is brought to you by Babbel, an interactive language program that teaches travel, business, and casual conversation skills in a new language, including Spanish. Available in the App Store or online at Babbel, BABBEL.com. And by Noom, offering a personalized weight loss program that uses psychology and small goals to change habits, with the goal of losing weight and keeping it off for good. Learn more at Noom, NOOM.com.
I'm Meghna Chakrabarty. Coming up on the next On Point, a century and a half ago, Chinese laborers were instrumental in building the Transcontinental Railroad. They helped fulfill an American dream, and then they were told to leave. Take a look at that story and their lives. That's coming up on the next On Point from NPR. Tonight at 10 on WHYY.
Supporting WHYY, Glen Mead, an independent trust company providing investment and private wealth management services to individuals, families, endowments, and institutions. More from Laura LaRosa at 215-419-6027.
I'm Marty Moss-Coane. Tonight on Radio Times, the growing appeal of white nationalism in the United States and how our politics fuels racial resentment. That's Radio Times, tonight at 11 on WHYY.
I'm Carol Mills. This is The World. Turkey's president wants a do-over. His party's candidate lost the recent election for mayor of Istanbul. When the opposition candidate won, it sent a strong signal that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's popular support may be fading. But now Erdogan is calling for a new election in Istanbul. Protesters went into the streets to denounce the decision. Reporter Fariba Nawad joins us from Istanbul, where she's based. Fariba, what are the protesters saying about this?
Protesters are saying that Erdogan and the ruling AK party are sore losers, that they are destroying Turkey's democracy by asking for a new election.
How big are these protests?
Well, the numbers are very hard to tell at this point. From what I saw on the streets, there are mainly in liberal neighborhoods in Istanbul, and it could be from hundreds to maybe a few thousand, I would say, and they sort of disseminated pretty quickly. In some neighborhoods, I heard they went on till 3 in the morning. Remember, it was the first day of Ramadan last night, and people were hoping for a reflective, peaceful break to their fast, but instead they got this news, and right after eating, a lot of people who fast and don't fast went out on the streets. It started out in the apartments, because this is one way of protesting where you're not put in jail necessarily. Once you're on the street, you're recognized, you either get tear gas or they use rubber pellets, and often identified protesters and may jail them.
Now, Turkey is not part of the European Union, but the EU has expressed concerns about what this move means for democracy in Turkey. What's President Erdogan saying to the criticism that's being lodged against him?
He's saying there was fraud involved, there were irregularities involved, and this is a democratic process, and democracy won, and that's why we have to redo these elections. But many here feel that the election board that made this decision was strong-armed into it.
Now, Istanbul is not just any city, it's Turkey's largest city, and the job of mayor is one that was previously held by Erdogan. How important is the mayor of Istanbul?
Remember, the economy here right now isn't doing too well, and Istanbul is the life of the economy in Turkey. And the ruling AK party has had Istanbul and Ankara, beginning with Erdogan, for the last quarter of a century, and they just lost it.
I'm curious whether more people are getting on the anti-Erdogan bandwagon since he's announced this re-election. I mean, are people sort of saying, people who might otherwise support him thinking, wow, this is kind of nutty?
that's what I'm seeing on Twitter. I saw a couple of people who said in Turkish Twitter, and people are very active on social media here, that one way they're still able to express themselves, saying that, this was the last straw for me. I voted for him because I want a stable Turkey. I want a strong leader. He represented that. But now what I'm seeing is this power-hungry party and leader who aren't letting go. They're being sore losers. But I think the thing that's going to decide is the economy. The Turkish lira plummeted last night again after this announcement was made. And people are very nervous here. We don't have enough onions. We don't have enough potatoes lately. I mean, I've been having a hard time finding basic vegetables because they're so expensive. Inflation is 20%. So these are everyday life matters that are going to decide vote. And no matter how much you like Erdogan as a person and how long you voted for him, people will change their minds when their stomachs are hungry.
Fariba Nawa is a reporter in Istanbul. Thanks a lot, Fariba.
Thanks for having me, Carol.
Here's what's on the minds of voters in tomorrow's elections in South Africa. Massive unemployment, 27%. Among young people, more than half are unemployed. The power grid is failing. Access to water is unreliable. So no doubt many South Africans think their country is heading in the wrong direction. And if they want to blame politics, the African National Congress is a likely choice. The ANC has been the ruling party in South Africa since the first free multiracial elections in 1994. So how then do ANC candidates persuade young voters to stay with the party? Chris DeMar met one politician on the campaign trail trying to make the case.
It's just before sunset in Dukator, an old township in Johannesburg's Midveld. Some kids are kicking a ball around on a grassy field at the edge of the neighborhood. It's less than a week before the elections, and Colin Malachi, the ANC's youngest parliamentary candidate, is going door to door here.
It is a mining belt.
So would these people work in mines?
Some of them working in mines, but mines of people that fully took the gold, went overseas and left us with a problem.
Malachi is only 26, but he's been in politics half his life. His father was a legal advisor for the ANC, and he started getting involved in the party's student wing when he was 13. Today, many South Africans who are Malachi's age see the ANC as old and corrupt after a string of scandals under former President Jacob Zuma. Malachi's challenge is persuading voters in their 20s and 30s, many of whom are unemployed, that the party still has something to offer them. The next day, hundreds of young men and women sit under a large white tent across the street, singing and listening to speeches. It's the neighborhood's first jobs expo, and Malachi helped organize it. At a podium at the front of the tent, he tells the crowd this will be the first of many job fairs. Job seekers line up in small kiosks set up by local government offices and a few private companies, like South African Airways. The ANC hands out free t-shirts and food for the crowd. But some of the job seekers say they're so frustrated they're not sure if they want to vote at all. Like Romeo Kosa. He's 26 and unemployed. You don't want to vote?
No? I'm going to vote for ANC.
He says, why should I vote for the ANC?
This is full of corruption.
Romeo says he's thinking about voting for the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, a radical leftist opposition party that has been appealing to young, frustrated voters on issues like jobs.
I can vote for EFF because EFF is talking the truth.
He and his friend Tando Hulwe Ngombe, who's 23, say there are too many people in their neighborhood just like them, desperate for work. Tando Hulwe says even the ANC's Youth League isn't doing anything about it.
Without youth, there is no future. Without us, because you see, go to ANC, then there is no any young guys there. Old people, all them.
Colin Malachi, the ANC candidate, agrees there are too many old politicians in his party at a time when nearly 30% of the population is under 16.
Look, the first thing we must change the face of the party. Because the party is aging.
He says young people won't care that the ANC is the party of liberation. They'll only support the ANC if it speaks to their needs now, like organizing job expos.
To bring opportunities to them, they see that we're acting on our promises.
Young people are hearing a lot of promises in the days before the vote. Nogule and Musa Masete are sisters, both unemployed. They say all the political parties are telling them what they want to hear, and it's left them confused about what to do on election day. Nogule is 23.
They're all promising us different things, and they're all promising us jobs. That's what we want. So for now, it's very difficult to choose who we're going to vote for, because they're just promising what we want and what we need for a moment.
And Musa, who's 28, chimes in they promise, but they don't deliver.
Even now, you see, we're here and we are hoping for something. We don't know, we are hoping for something.
Even if voters like Musa and Nabui don't vote for the ANC, the party is still expected to win a majority on Wednesday. The question is how much longer the ANC can stay in power if it can't deliver something more to young South Africans. For the World, Krista Moore, Johannesburg, South Africa.
News headlines are coming up. You're listening to The World. Supporting WHYY, West Laurel Hill Cemetery and Funeral Home. West Laurel Hill is hosting Beautiful Blooms, a spring arbor tour, Saturday, May 11th at 11 a.m. Guests can enjoy the grandeur of the blossoming cherries and magnolias that add beauty to the landscape at West Laurel Hill's Arboretum on this guided walking tour. West Laurel Hill Cemetery and Funeral Home is a Level 2 ArbNet accredited arboretum. Learn more at westlaurelhill.com/events. I'm Carol Hills. Today is Eva Perón's 100th birthday. Evita died decades ago, but in Argentina, her political legacy lives on.
Only yesterday, a group of women organized a street event where they dressed as Evita just to demonstrate against this government.
Remembering Evita is still ahead on The World.
BBC News with Julie Kendra. The U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has paid a short visit to Iraq to assure it of American support and urge it to break free of Iranian influence. After meeting with Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi, Mr. Pompeo said Baghdad must also ensure the safety of Americans in the country. The Supreme Court in Venezuela has ordered the prosecution of several leading opposition lawmakers for treason. They include a former head of the National Assembly, Henry Ramos Ayub. The current Assembly President and opposition figurehead Juan Guaido says the order is illegal. President Bolsonaro of Brazil has signed a decree that will ease restrictions on gun imports. The far-right president has also allowed gun owners to purchase more ammunition and made it easier to own multiple weapons. The Dow Jones stock market index fell nearly 600 points on Tuesday. Analysts say the tumble is the result of market jitters at faltering trade relations between Washington and Beijing. Hungary has had to halt plans to repatriate 3 Afghan families after they failed in their bid to get asylum. But the BBC police pushing one of the families through a border gate into Serbia. 2 other families remain in Hungary for now. One got an injunction from the European Court of Human Rights, preventing deportation. Several inmates have been killed and wounded in a shootout at a jail in Guatemala. Pabon prison was built for 1,000 prisoners, but houses at least 3 times more. At least 8 people have been injured in a school shooting in the American state of Colorado. Police have arrested 2 male pupils. Brazil's National Museum is urgently seeking money after it was largely destroyed by fire last year. Its director has issued a desperate plea for funding so the museum can store artifacts rescued from the blaze. BBC News.
The World is supported by Rippling, a platform for businesses to manage their HR and IT in one system. From payroll and benefits to employee computers and software, Rippling is built to help onboard new hires on day one. Learn more at rippling.com. Rippling, take back your time. I'm Carol Hills. This is The World, a production of the BBC World Service, PRI, and WGBH in Boston. In Britain's debate over leaving the European Union, one issue above all others has been a huge stumbling block: the Irish border. For decades, that border was a point of violent conflict. Dissidents set off bombs at border checkpoints where British soldiers and Irish police stood in opposition to each other. A peace accord in the 1990s led to an open border there, but now Brexit raises the prospect of checkpoints being reinstated along the Irish border. And with that comes the fear that violence will return. The World's Orla Berry reports from an Irish border town. Balik.
population less than 1,000, is in Northern Ireland, part of the United Kingdom. But cross a bridge just off the town's main street and you're in the Republic of Ireland. The only telltale sign that you've moved from the UK to the Republic are the road signs that switch from miles to kilometres.